The topic is how to create the object. It's a simple scenario. We have to follow a syntax every time when we create an object. That is class name space object name equals to new class name. So the note point here, you have to understand that new is a keyword which allocates the memory at runtime. So there is a difference between C, C++ and Java, right? So in C, C++, memory gets allocated at compile time, and in Java, everything happens at runtime. So the memory is also allocated at runtime itself. So when JVM executes the new keyword, and this new keyword, this entire step creates a memory block for the class. So new is a keyword which allocates the memory. At what time? Runtime. And in Java, everything happens at runtime itself, you have to say. So next, here for an example, I am taking a class known as person, or you can say I'm taking a class known as test. We have a test class, right? So test p equals to new test. So what's happening here? T is an object name of a class test. This is the first thing you have to understand. So what is it? If I create test T equals to new test, this is object creation. And now you have to understand that in Java we can print the output by using system dot out dot println. So this println is a method, out is an object, system is a class. So why we are using this, I'll explain in the later class or the next concept. Before that, I just want to show you what this T indicates to. Actually, what is present in T means the memory block for a class means some space occupied in RAM. Like here, if you see, this is the RAM, and in this RAM, when you write the step test T equals to new test, this T indicates to a memory block, like here. So what it is indicating to, if you want to see, we have to print this particular T. అంటే ప్రింట్ టీలో ఏముందో ప్రింట్ చేస్తున్నాం. అది ప్రింట్ చేయాలి అంటే ఒక మెథడ్ యూజ్ చేస్తున్నాం. ఏంట మెథడ్? println. So what is that? println is a method, and out is an object, system is a class. How can you say? Because S is capital, and method, open and close parentheses are there, and the starting letter is small. So here I am using just system dot out dot println. In that I am printing just T. Save this thing. So where is this program? In a folder known as programs in D drive, right? So how to compile that? From the command prompt, you have to shift, like here, you have to say cd space programs, and in this programs you have to compile java c space. What's that file name? You can say the file name is test, and what's the class name? Test. So how to compile? Java c space file name dot java, like test is the file name dot java. It's getting compiled. Now after compilation, you have to run this program java space test. So what is it? Test, and the test has a method system.out.println which prints t, and the t indicates the object of test, and this test t prints a hash code. So whatever you are seeing here is representing a hash code, like this is an hash code, and that hash code is nothing but the class name will be there, test, @ symbol, and a unique sequence will be there. So every object represents or indicates to a hash code. Like here, this memory block has a hash code. So what is hash code? You can say it represents the address of the memory block. So who is pointing to this hash code? The T is pointing to the hash code. And what is here T? So the T is a hash code. T indicates hash code. And what is hash code? You can say hash code represents the address of the memory block, you can say. So this memory address is represented by hash code, and this hash code is indicated by this T. Simple. What I am saying here, when you are executing the new keyword along with this test, here this entire part creates an object. If I remove this particular test, new test, what will happen here? Test X I am saying. So I am not using any new keyword, right? If you don't use any new keyword, there won't be any memory allocated. Means there is some X, but this X is pointing to nothing. Nothing is there in the X. So what do you call this X as? A reference. X is called as a reference. That is, it doesn't have its own memory. Means whenever you have this reference, there is no memory allocated. But what is the advantage? You can say this reference have an advantage that they can store the memory block, like objects, other objects can be referred by this X. Like example, X equals to T. So what is the T? Object. Now the T object is referred by X. That is, X is the reference. It doesn't have any memory, its own memory, but it can point to other memory blocks. So what is the advantage of reference? It will be cleared at the time of method overriding. Means you have to understand like what is dynamic method dispatch. At the time you will understand why we have to write or create a reference, and why we have to indicate a memory block by a reference. So till that time, what is happening here? When you give an object to a reference, The reference is pointing to the same hash code. Means if you just write one more step here, test x. So what is it x? X is a reference. If you're changing it x, it won't affect to the t object. It will be the same. Means the memory is pointed by x again, like you're saying the operations performed, right? So we'll see at the time of operations, like when you execute it. But what's happening here? Both the memories, the single memory is pointed by both t and x. So x equals to t if you are saying, and x. And if you modify x, the t will get also affected. That's the question you asked, right? So if you save this and compile, here java c space test.java and java space test. So what you are able to see here, test at the rate unique sequence, the same thing is given to the x also. Understood? There's a simple point that reference doesn't have its own memory, but if you are allocating or giving another memory block, it can point to that particular memory block. Simple thing. And why we are doing this? At the time of overriding, it will be cleared. We have a bigger advantage at that time. Okay, just I'm giving an introduction to what is reference. So what is the reference is, it doesn't have its own memory, but it can point to other memory blocks. That's the concept. And the memory block is getting allocated or created at runtime. In Java, everything happens at runtime itself. Allocation and deallocation also. So how to create object and what is object in reference? Is this points clear or any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask. So should I continue? Say yes or no if you're listening. Right. So next, after this particular creation of object, you have to see what is output in Java. And before that, we have one more thing. Like consider here test is a user defined class name. Assume that I want to create object for a predefined class. So there is a predefined class. So the predefined class here you can say array list. Now I want to create the object for array list. How to create object for array list? Array list al equals to new array list. So simply I'm removing the user defined class, and in a test class I'm creating an object for array list. That's it. But in this scenario you'll get error. Previously we didn't got any error, but now when you compile this particular java c space test dot java, we're getting error saying that cannot find symbol. The compiler is unable to find the symbol array list. The symbol class array list it can't find in a location known as class test. The same thing. Why? Because this array list is a predefined class, and in Java you are having a lot of predefined classes. So how to tell the compiler that I am using a predefined class? For that, you have to import a package. Means all the classes, a group of related classes are placed in a package. And what is this package? Package is a collection of classes, you can say. Collection of classes. So it's nothing but a folder. Like suppose consider here programs is a folder, right? So you can say programs is a package where you have person, student and test class. In the same way, for the predefined classes, there will be a package, and that package is nothing but a collection of classes. So for this array list, we have to import a package known as java.util.arraylist. Means here just you have to write at the starting. This import can be done only at the starting. So import java.util.arraylist. That's it. Semicolon will be there. And here Java is a main folder or a main package. Util is a subfolder, a sub package, and ArrayList is a class, as we are indicating by capital letters. And these are packages, so we are using only small letters and differentiated by dot. And this import package indicates that this class is available in a folder known as java.util. Okay, so if I save this thing, compile it, now there is no error, right? So what do you understand by this? Whenever you are writing a predefined class, for the predefined classes, you have to import the package. If you are not importing the package, you will get error. As you have seen, array list, you didn't find it first. When you imported the java.util.arraylist, there was no problem, no issue, right? So this is the most important thing you have to understand, that Java consists of packages. Of packages, and packages consist of is a collection of classes. Classes consist of what is it? Variables and methods. And you have to understand that these variables are methods like class, person. Here what are the variables? Int age or void eat. These are the variables or methods. And if we want to execute the age or eat method, we need to create object like what? Person space Rahul equals new person. So what is the object here? Rahul. So what do you understand? Whenever a class is there, in that class, if you want to use any variable or method, you need to create an object. That object is nothing but memory for that class. And if you want to create object for predefined or user defined class, we need to import the package. We need to import the package when we want to create the object for a predefined or user defined thing. That's the first thing. Okay, So there's a simple thing. First, what is it? Java consists of packages, and the packages is a collection of classes, and the classes consist of variables and methods. Like here, age is a variable and it is a method. To execute, or you can say call, the age or it method, we need to create object, right? And if you're creating an object for the predefined or user defined class, we need to import the package. In this scenario, we have seen that, right? That's it. So these things you have to follow for the importing of the package. Is this point clear? Any doubts? If you have any doubt, just ask me, or else I'll continue.
Yeah.
Right. So I just want you to unmute and answer the questions. Today, what we have seen, the first thing, what is public, right? And what is void? Abhishek,
Yes.
what do you mean by void?
It's like em- uh, if you are not going to return the values, we'll
Right,
give a void.
right, correct. Divya, what do you mean by string args? String args.
Mean by
Or what do you mean by main method? Why we have to write main every time?
At the start of the program
Right,
execution.
start of the program execution. And Pragnika, what is static?
static. Without object, we can execute a program.
Right, without
Start.
object, it's not the program. You have to say without object, we can execute the static members. Either it is a variable or a method,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And Abhishek, what is the reference?
What is?
A reference.
It's shows the memory. It's directs the memory.
Means it indicates the memory. It doesn't
It's
have its
indicated.
own memory.
It doesn't have memory, so it indicates the other memory.
Right. Okay. And Divya, what is hash code?
What is?
Hash code.
It represents the address of memory block.
Right. So for every address, there will be a hash code, and that hash code is represented by this object.
Is
Okay. And Pragnika, what is new keyword?
New is a keyword which represents the object of a test class.
Means it creates the object of a class. So when JVM executes a new keyword, the memory is getting allocated at runtime. This is very important. You have to understand that when you are executing the program, then the object is getting created. So there's a difference between C, C++ and Java. C, C++ are compile time and Java is a runtime thing. Okay? And what is package? Abhishek.
For some libraries, we need to get the packages. Call.
Package is like a collection of classes. Yeah, it's a library where classes will be present, right?
Yeah.
Divya, what is class definition?
what is?
Class.
Class.
Yes.
Class is collection of methods, variables,
Yes. Collection of variables and methods.
methods.
And Pragnika,
Mm-hmm.
can you execute a variable or a method directly?
Variable or method directly.
Yes. Means without object can you execute anything?
Without object we can't execute because there is no memory allocation to that.
Right. So you have to understand that when you want to execute a variable or a method, first you have to search for an object. And when you create an object of a class, if the class is not present, like you have to indicate the package. So you have to import the package. These points you have to understand. Okay.
Mm.
So if you want, you can take this screenshot of this thing. So everyone is able to understand the class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll stop here because for the basics I'll be going little slow. You just go through the entire thing, and tomorrow we'll be going to see what is output in Java and what are the types of variables. Okay. So Pragnika, you
Excuse me, sir.
complete yesterday's video then. Okay.
Yeah. And can I have these videos